Funeral home owners in Mohave County say that officials made a mistake deciding who should run the medical examiner's office.
And I don't mean to sound arrogant in any way, shape, or form, but out of all the people that have spoke today, I'm the longest standing individual here in the...
Even the appearance of impropriety is unacceptable.
Competing mortuaries have brought up these significant concerns, claiming there's a conflict of interest.
Any conflict between these two types of services?
We did not see that there was conflict.
You know, if you have one business who's also administering something with the county, even the appearance that they might not be sending deceased persons to their own business or other people's businesses or whatever.
There is no commingling or any kind of conflict of interest, if you will. I just want clarification on the record for that.
This is about families. When you have to sit across the table from these families and try and explain to them why it's taking up to 11 days to have their loved one released, why it's taking up to 11 days to have their loved one released, there is no excuse for it. And then we as funeral professionals get those people back, and we're supposed to try and make them look good after they spent that many days in a body bag?
Issues brought to light again, less than 3 months after our Dealing with the Dead investigation into the Mohave County Medical Examiner's Office. Fox 10 at that time revealed concerns raised by multiple funeral homes.
How would John Hassett describe himself?
A charismatic entrepreneur.
And I don't mean to sound arrogant in any way, shape, or form, but out of all the people that have spoke today, I'm the longest standing individual here in the...
He's a businessman with multiple titles, the Director of Operations for the Mohave County Medical Examiner's Office and the CEO of Serenity Memorial Group, a company that owns 5 funeral home locations in the same county. His mortuaries, Arizona Affordable, Desert Lawn, and Mohave Memorial.
These families deserve better. They are not getting $1.1 million in services. That is their taxpayer dollars, $1.1 million a year for this kind of service.
And I don't mean to sound arrogant in any way, shape, or form, but...
Controversy linked to the county's decision to pay a company that owns several funeral homes in the same county to run the medical examiner's office.
So I would ask that you would put this back out for bid, because there are well-qualified people who are willing to do the job every day, and families do not have to wait.
It's been an ongoing issue for a while, but this time the county contracted with a company that owns several funeral homes in the area.
There is no commingling or any kind of conflict of interest, if you will. I just want clarification on the record for that.
Any conflict between these two types of services?
We did not see that there was conflict.
Competing mortuaries have brought up these significant concerns, claiming there's a conflict of interest.
Since our investigation, I've confirmed the man in charge of the medical examiner's office recently sold his company, Serenity Memorial Group. But John Hassett will retain some role within the company as he's still on contract to run the ME's office. But today, another funeral home went public, saying Serenity has negatively impacted their business.
I really thought that after Fox News episode aired that the county would look into this problem.
Am I manipulating the rotation in order to benefit my own organizations? Absolutely not.
John Hassett is the Director of Ops for the Mohave County Medical Examiner. Mohave awarded Serenity a multi-million-dollar deal as an independent contractor to run the ME's office.
I've requested the data of names of these cases we supposedly received, but the health director says it's human error and he's working on it.
I've told my family, if I die, I don't care where you drag my body, just make sure it's not in Mohave County.
The joke is sadly that if you want to kill someone, do it in Mohave County.
One resident says when her relative passed away, law enforcement informed her that Mohave Memorial was the mortuary picking up the body.
My concern here is that other families have been told that Leeds Phrase is affiliated with Mohave Memorial, which is incorrect, which takes their right of making a choice.
Do the right thing and rectify this problem.
Specifically, the president of that company is now in charge of the medical examiner's office.
I do want to thank Mr. Hassett. If everybody remembers, This county was in a world of hurt when Dr. Mosley decided that he didn't want it. It was the last minute, and only one agency, one company, one person stood up, and that was John Hassett, and he saved us, and he saved us, and he saved us. Has been doing a good job.
Sometimes there was calls and they would leave bodies at one of John's funeral homes. He'd call them substations.
And he saved us, and he saved us, and he saved us.
He would do that from anything from an overdose or suicide to homicide cases. They would sit in different coolers, not at the medical examiner's office, sometimes for a week.
And has been doing a good job.
According to a research report on death investigations published by the National Institute of Justice, a properly maintained chain of custody and prompt transfer will reduce the likelihood of a challenge to the integrity of the evidence.
Your mortuaries are used as substations with the same type of equipment as what you would have at the medical examiner's office?
Same type of equipment and but the mortuaries are not. They're in no way associated with what we're doing.
Hassett says the substation strategy is about safety due to long drives between cities in Mohave County.
If an investigator feels that they are tired or can't make the drive down to Havasu and back to their return area, they have the ability to drop a non-high profile case off at a substation for transport the following day. If someone has an unattended death with law enforcement, if they have a hospice death and the family says, you know, I don't have any pre-need arrangements, I don't have any, I don't know who to call, I'm not from the area or something along those lines, it would go to the rotation funeral home.
Death calls come in, but funeral homeowners like Bradbury Memorial say since Hassett took over operations at the OME,
the calls dropped significantly.
They're saying these substations are not at Desert Lawn mortuaries at all?
They are not, no.
They are at facilities that are just made for substations?
Facilities that the contractor owns, but they are not part of his funeral home businesses, correct?
At the medical examiner's office, it's very closely monitored the temperature of the coolers because at certain degrees, bodies start to decomp. If you have to run labs at certain temperatures, you can't get the same accurate results that you're going to need to determine whether it was an accidental overdose or somebody killed them.
And County Supervisor Buster Johnson says he received complaints himself.
We were having problems with bodies being picked up and not taken to the medical examiner for a day or two or three, which is just not acceptable to me and not acceptable in any practice I've ever heard of.
Why it's taking up to 11 days to have their loved one released.
And he saved us, and he saved us, and he saved us.
The medical examiner's office releases online data showing the amount of month-to-month calls, but multiple funeral home owners, including Bradbury Marchand, say their internal records don't match the number of calls listed.
You're going to be taking a lot of that business to grow your personal business.
Based on the agreement, no preferential treatment can be used in choosing a funeral home for a decedent.
And that provision is specifically designed to prevent any conflict of interest or any acting on a conflict of interest and make sure that everybody plays fair with each other, especially when we're talking about the distribution of public funds. If there's evidence that he's not following the terms, then in my mind, there's nothing that would prevent the county from auditing compliance.
Yes, I expect that there would be expediency in moving those bodies from the substation to the medical examiner office, just because that's where they should be.
People focused on their own business and their own issues, think of how much better we could serve the community.
And I don't mean to sound arrogant in any way, shape, or form, but out of all the people that have spoke today, I'm the longest standing individual here in the...
Officials did something that even they call unorthodox, awarding a multi-million-dollar contract to a company that owns several funeral homes in that same county.
But is there a conflict of interest here? Fox 10 investigator Justin Lum reveals the concerns raised.
And I don't mean to sound arrogant in any way, shape, or form, but out of all the people that have spoke today, I'm the longest standing individual here in the...
Competing mortuaries in Mohave County say they are financially impacted by this move. How? They claim they're getting less death calls from the medical examiner's office, alleging the person now in charge is taking advantage of his position.
We've tried to address them, and we get stonewalled.
The mortuary is not going to be running the medical examiner's office, and I think that that's a big concern, not only from other funeral home owners, but the community in general.
And he saved us.
Buster Johnson was skeptical. The District 3 supervisor was the only board member to vote no on awarding the contract to Serenity Memorial.
I figured there would be a conflict of interest because in the same business as the other mortuaries are, so there's always going to be conflict there.
Any conflict between these two types of services?
We did not see that there was conflict.
The board voted 4-1 to award a 3-year contract paying Serenity a little over $1 million annually, costing taxpayers $92,000 per month.
No ability for us to hold somebody accountable. He's not a licensed medical examiner, so if I say, you know, you're not doing your job, it's like, well, you knew I wasn't a licensed medical examiner when you gave me the job.
We could all see that it was a conflict of interest. We were all fully aware of what was going to happen when Mr. Hassett got the contract.
Any conflict between these two types of services?
We did not see that there was conflict.
We have somebody right now in the medical examiner's office, and they did tell me that I had permission to use them. The death occurred on March 10th. Today is the 18th. This person has an 11-year-old son who wants to see his mother and say goodbye. He is not able to do that because we do not have an on-site medical examiner. I know that every one of you are aware that there is a doctor of pathology in the Kingman community that wants this contract, who is able to do autopsies and exams on a daily basis.
Hassett, I'd like to hear your rebuttal to Madam Bradbury's accusation. Yes, Supervisor. Madam Chair, Supervisor Gould. I don't have any names, obviously, and I wouldn't feel comfortable releasing that, but...
Did tell me that I had permission to use them.
If in fact that she has the name, so if we wanted to talk and verify after the meeting, I'm happy to do so, but... It was a case that was pushed to the next week's pathologist based on multiple homicides. I'd be more than happy to address with you if you'd like me to come to your office or something like that. I don't mean to stand before anyone and discredit anyone's professional capabilities or anything in that way, shape, or form, but I had a meeting with Dr. Swap and reached out to him and was extremely transparent, giving him all of our information, knowing I'm open to any kind of questions, comments, concerns. I'm here to really serve the county and fill a void that is not only our county, but many counties throughout Arizona. So, Mr. Hassett, I'd like to hear your rebuttal to Madam Bradbury's accusation. Take the time to visit with you today. I just want to go on a couple of clarity things for Hassett. I'd like to hear your rebuttal to Madam Bradbury's accusation. My contract is coming up for renewal, and I stand by exactly what I said in the very beginning when I met with all of you. I am not a forensic pathologist, nor am I a pathologist, nor am I a medical doctor. I'm a business person.
You're going to be taking a lot of that business to grow your personal business.
Why it's taking up to 11 days to have their loved one released.
He's not a licensed medical examiner. He's not a licensed medical examiner. He's not a licensed medical examiner.